What's up, guys? Welcome to Rough Draft Research. Just so you know, this is a clip from a longer episode, the Year 3 player, stud, starter, hold, and bust. But this is just the running backs. If you'd like to see the whole episode, you can go to that. Or if you're looking for a specific guy, go down to the description below, and boom. Now on over to Darther, who can explain what this episode is all about.
We're going to look at just a little bit of the performance from year 1 to year 2 and what we can expect coming into this year. It's going to be pretty exciting because, you know, some of these guys are some pretty badass dudes.
Yeah.
You know, top tier at the positions. So without further ado, shall we take it off the top?
First guy off the board was Josh Jacobs. Makes a lot of sense. He's been pretty good so far. Finished 8th in fantasy last year in PPR leagues. He got 67% of the running back work last year, which is pretty impressive. And he put up those numbers behind a Raiders offensive line that was ranked 26th in run blocking, according to PFF. So they tried to address that a little bit by taking Alex Leatherwood, which was pretty panned by me specifically, but a lot of other people. And then they brought in Kenyon Drake, who he had 66% of his share on the Cardinals last year, and he finished as the 16th RB. So I think Jacobs is going to lose some carries. Does that scare you guys away from Jacobs a little bit, or
No. Loss of the lineman, the line worries me more than
That's fair.
Kenyon Drake.
I'm not too worried. I mean, Kenyon Drake did get a lot of good goal line work last year.
Yeah.
So that could eat into it. But I think that the targets for Josh Jacobs went from 27 to 45 from year 1 to year 2. And his finish as an RB went from the RB 21 to the RB 8.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going up any, but I think that it can be sustained.
right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you because I have him in that stud category.
Oh.
For sure. I mean, until he proves me wrong. I mean, if you're going to be a top 8 back, if we can consistently be in the top 10, that's a stud to me. You have one of the RB1s in a 12-team league. I'm good with that. And I'm with you. I think Drake is going to be a change of pace role for sure, especially been thinking a lot about how it's a 17-game season. So you're going to have to really kind of like help your running backs out by not running them into the ground. So you might see Drake run a little more, but I don't think it's going to matter that much.
Yeah. I mean, I just look at Jacobs, and he came into the league, and he inherited, 260 plus carries that were left behind by Doug Martin and Marshawn Lynch.
Doug Martin.
Yeah.
Forgot about
Muscle
him.
hamster. So he came in, and I think it was Gruden's first draft, and you got Derek Carr under center. So it's not the sexiest team in the world. Mm-hmm. And he performed pretty well, you know. Came in and got over 1,100 yards as a rookie.
Yeah.
So I think that he's been consistent over 1,000 yards each of the first 2 years.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's going away. I think this offense is probably going to figure something out in the passing game that it hadn't had before. And I think the O-line could probably mesh a little better. I know it's like doomsday in the offseason, but when these guys start to play, they'll figure it out.
For sure. The guy that was taken second, we got David Montgomery, who had his best season so far, finished 4th in fantasy for PPR. Those passing numbers were increased a lot by the fact that Tariq Cohen was hurt for so long. Chicago was 16th in run blocking, according to PFF, and they took a lineman that I actually liked a lot in the draft in Tevin Jenkins, so I think they did improve. Obviously, who knows? It's the draft. It
That's
could be a crapshoot.
Oklahoma State guy, right?
Yeah, big, huge, strong guy. Yeah, really like that. Like him. They also took a guy I don't really know a lot about, in Larry Borum in the 5th round, but that was their third pick. So they knew they needed to address the offensive line at least. And so hopefully it works out for him. Cohen coming back is a negative, but I love the fact that Montgomery proved that he can be 100% the every down guy that everyone expected him to be, because he did all the pass catching work and he did all the running work. So now he's proved it. So Cohen coming back is a big deal because he is their pass catching guy. But I think you'll see a lot more of Montgomery in that role.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on some pretty solid stuff. To me, I think that's more the first pick of the draft for the Bears that's going to change things. And with that said, I mean, Justin Fields is in town. Matt Nagy's fighting for his life.
Yeah.
And I look at the production last year, and it was just over 1,000 yards on the ground. You know, he did finish as the RB4, but so much of that was inflated from the pass catching work. You know, in his rookie year, he had 35 catches, and he's up to 35 targets, and he's up to 68 with Cohen out.
Yeah.
So that's definitely coming down. I think he finishes behind Josh Jacobs. I've got him as a starter here.
I actually do too. It's one year of great production and then 2 like middling years.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, when he was a rookie, you know, Jordan Howard had left the team, and so he inherited that, let's go roll, and kind of struggled a little bit, didn't get the usage you would have liked to see. And I think with their rushing quarterback, I think we're going to see more of that late, or RB2, back end RB2 kind of role.
Which is still great. I mean, you still want to go get a guy like that if you can. But
100%.
I don't have him quite in that stud role yet either.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I wanted to say I think a lot of it was inflated too, because if I remember right, he had one of the easiest schedules at the end of the year, and that's kind of when majority of his yards, because they played the Vikings twice, which was a horrible defense, and then the Lions.
That's fair.
But I mean, not taking anything from him, but I just think it was just inflated a little bit.
Yeah. So next up, we got Miles Sanders. He missed 4 games last year, still finished as the 23rd RB, which is okay for missing 4 games. Excuse me. Averaged 14 points per game. So I have him as a starter, like a flex starter, borderline hold guy for me. I don't know. He was getting 76% of the RB workload, and his receiving numbers weren't great. He had 8 drops on 28 receptions and 50 targets. That's not great. He didn't have a touchdown. And they went out and got Kenny Gainwell, so he's about to lose a lot of that work. So, yeah, he might be closer to a hold guy for me at this point.
Ooh, that's harsh, man. I still got him as a starter, you know. You got to think he's had a RB2 finish the first 2 years. And then there's also the quarterback change. We don't know what that really means. But when you're talking about bringing in Gainwell, that's obviously going to impact. I don't think he clears that 50 targets that he's had the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So I think Sanders is going to be a little less productive, especially they got a rushing quarterback technically, I guess. I'm still not sure what Jalen Hurts really is, but I know he's going to be running the ball a little bit, especially near the goal line. So we'll just see how that pans out. But if they don't figure out the passing game, he's going to get fed. I just don't know what to think. He was drafted into a committee vibe there in Philly. And I think that's what they're getting again. They got a new OC, the Nick Sirianni, who has, I know that you think he's a bit of a marionette there.
Kind of,
puppet on
sure.
On the hand of old Frank there. But, they still balanced a lot of the run game in Indianapolis, between a pure rusher type and Nyheim Hines, which that Kenny Gainwell could slide right into the Hines role.
For sure, yeah.
So this one is less predictable for me, but I think he still is going to be an RB2, and that makes him the starter in my book.
Yeah,
that's fair. I just have him right on the border. I don't really know. I'm not high on the Eagles, though. Admittedly, I always say that.
The line
So,
sucks.
if I had Sanders, I'll put it this way: if I had Sanders, I'd be looking for somebody that is high on him to get out from under him and try and.
I would
some
buy
pieces.
Sanders in a heartbeat, but I'm not paying.
Yeah,
I'm not paying
what people want for him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's fair.
and I'm going off script as I always do. But we're Miles Sanders or Kareem Hunt. Hunt. Okay. All right.
Definitely.
That's okay. Well, I'm not buying Miles Sanders anymore. I trust these guys.
Touchdown dependency, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if you think about if Zach Ertz is out of town,
That's fair.
and I mean, it's
I guess
just
Sanders
so hard to
is
predict.
a starter and Hunt's not, but Hunt was a better running back last year too. But that might be a fluky season having two
He was
top
a better
12
running
guys.
back when Nick Chubb was
Yeah.
healthy.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fair.
he was a top 10 RB last year,
Yeah.
but
Anyway, that's for another day. We'll move on to Darrell Henderson. He went in the first round of our draft, so that's a little disheartening for the guy that took him there. But I think there's a lot of upside here. Malcolm Brown's gone. Malcolm Brown last year for the Rams had 30% of the running back workload to Henderson's 38%. So unless they're expecting undrafted free agent of 2020 Xavier Jones to come in and take a lot of that, I think most of that is going to get split between Akers and Henderson, and he impressed the coaching staff enough that they were willing to move on from Brown, a guy they just paid $3.5 million to the year before, to be a backup.
Did you leave Jake Funk out of this?
That's fair. Jake Funk could
All right.
come in. I still think he's mostly a handcuff to Akers, but worth keeping an eye on. I mean, he had 4.5 yards per carry, 624 yards and 5 touchdowns as a rotational guy in that offense. I don't know. Worth keeping an eye on at least.
yeah, I agree with you. I kind of just thought he was kind of an always the bridesmaid kind of dude.
Yeah, that's fair.
So come in and Gurley's the guy, oh no, your next man up. No, Akers is up now. And he did go at the 109 in our rookie draft in 2019, which I guess wasn't. It was a flag plant kind of move.
Yeah.
But that guy was able to flip him for a first somehow, I think. So good for him. I do think the passing game takes a big step forward with Matthew Stafford, and I think that's going to affect some of the
fair.
Henderson stuff. But I thought his touchdown rate was really impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So 5 touchdowns on, is this right? 38 carries, is that what you have?
I have 138.
138. There you go. That's a typo. But that's still pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, if he was getting 624 yards and 38 carries, that'd be insane.
Yeah. My mistakes.
But no, I'm with you. And so he falls into the hold category for me, I would assume.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, any of the hold guys, if you get a trade for them, like, you can also trade them. It's not a hold kind of / bench. So, like, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, basically, you're not starting them. You're just hoping that they either take a step forward or, obviously, if Akers miss any time,
Yeah.
you got a startable asset right there.
Back to me for the running backs. We got Devin Singletary, a guy I've gotten tricked into really being
I think
loving.
I think all three of us have.
Yeah.
I drafted him here.
He drafted him. I traded for him. Then I traded him to you.
And then I just traded him away.
And I still like I like the way he looks, but he is and will always be part of a committee. And that's just who he is. We've learned it, and it's going to be him and Zach Moss. And he's going to be sitting exactly where he was in the rankings this year, which I have at 37th for RBs.
Oof.
And
I got to get on the Fantasy Pros, man.
yeah, where is he at on yours?
31.
Okay. So with a 17-game season, there's a possibility that he plays a little more than he used to, just to try and keep Zach Moss healthy. But I don't know, man. Like, it's just so unfortunate because I like watching him when he's on the field, but I just don't think he's going to get the volume to really be something. But I have him as a hold because a 37th overall running back, like, that's fine if you're in a pinch and you have to start somebody. Like, he can maybe have a decent week for you, like 8 to 10 points, and then kind of just get you through that week. but I don't think he's a bust necessarily.
I don't think he's a bust either. I think he's a hold for me, but he was out-touched by Frank Gore as a rookie, and then he had a 60-40 with a guy who missed 3 games.
Yeah,
so the touch count. So the big things with Singletary to me are that he has had 4 touchdowns on 300 carries in his NFL career.
Yeah, that's not good.
That's criminal, man.
Josh Allen.
That is horrible.
Yeah, Josh Allen is stealing all those goal line runs.
Yeah.
Right. So you look at him, Devin Singletary, about 300 touches in his career, 2 years. In that same 2 years, Josh Allen has had 200 carries and 17 touchdowns. So,
Oh, man.
so what? Like, I agree with you, Singletary. I was very excited about him. You know, I got it. It's like the 205 maybe.
Yeah,
And,
I really wanted him that year.
I was very excited. I thought I won this draft all the way. Turns out I did almost.
Anyway, Damian Harris.
Well, we had a much better conversation than this is about to be. Now go ahead.
Yeah, so we'll move on to Damian Harris. Finished 44th on Fantasy Pros last year, which for a guy that's in a committee isn't terrible, I guess. The Patriots had one of the top run blocking O-lines, according to PFF, with the number 6th blocking line. And Harris had 48% of the running back opportunities. That's compared to Sony Michel's 40%. So I think it's safe to say they've just given up on Sony Michel, because then they drafted Ramondre Stevenson, who they already are putting out as being their new LeGarrette Blount. I saw that today. That's how they're talking about him. And then Rex Burkhead had 32% of the share there. So I think Damian Harris is going to be the starter in New England this year. At least this year. Maybe Ramondre takes it eventually. And I think he can provide you with kind of a guy. I think he's a hold. Like, you hold him. Bill Belichick is famous for not ever having like a dominant running back guy. He's always got a committee going on. But I think Harris will get a predominant amount of the work, with James White coming back in now that they lost Rex Burkhead and taking those passing downs. And then, unfortunately for any Harris owners, Ramondre is going to come in and get that goal line work. And they're going to have to work Sony in there at some point. But I think they're phasing Sony Michel out,
For sure.
in my opinion.
What was Shane Vereen, the last RB1 in New England?
Yeah.
That's like so long ago.
Or fucking Curtis Martin, even.
Jesus.
Oh, my God. That
ridiculous.
was so long ago.
I literally just said Damian Harris to me is like, he is Devin Singletary.
Yeah.
Because you have Cam doing all the things that Josh Allen's doing except for throwing the ball.
Yeah.
And then who knows, is Sony or Ramondre, they're going to represent that Zach Moss type workload. Yeah. So he could be great, but I also see a world where, 60% of the touches is a ceiling and it's not enough to be more than a hold.
Well, and that one of his issues is that he doesn't force a lot of missed tackles. He only forced 19 last year, which, I mean, if you compare even to Devin Singletary, he forced 32. So, like, he's just not forcing missed tackles. So you're right. If he doesn't get 70, 80% of the workload, he might not be able to make that 60 count as much. So I do think he's a hold, because a starting running back, I'm going to hold him just always.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a crapshoot for sure.
I've said this about other teams, but this is another team that's hard to trust because they don't have their identity defined.
Yeah.
Going into this, it's a Mac Jones and a passing game that utilizes more wide receivers than I have toes, or is this a Cam Akers or Cam Newton led offense that is only going to do what it needs to win and be extremely unreliable as far as predictability in a fantasy format?
Yeah.
I had Benny Snell in there.
I forgot I cut Benny Snell out entirely because, I can
this
talk
is
about Benny Snell. He sucked last year as a backup, and now Najee Harris is there, and he's still a backup, and he's not going to be very good. If you have more notes than that, you can take it away.
Okay, I was surprised that he's had 220 carries in 2 years. So I think he could probably not do anything with Najee in the house. So I said I have a new category on him, and it's non-factor.
All right. Alexander Mattison.
So
That took a
Mattison,
dark
yeah,
turn.
I don't have much to say really about him other than that I think he's looked good in his backup role to Cook. He's 23 years old. He'll be 25 when his contract runs up in 2020, at the end of 2022. So he could be on a new team in 2023. I think he's worth a stash because he's looked good behind Cook.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all I really had to say about him.
Yeah, I've got him as a hold. He's pretty much rocking Benny Schnell's performance over 2 years. I keep saying Benny Schnell, and I say a lot of words strangely. It's Snell. My bad. But yeah, I'm not. I'm holding Mattison, but no one's ever starting him in hopes that the Vikings are blowing a team out and he gets half the second half's work.
And on your note about Snell, my thing is Cook is one of the best running backs in the league, whereas Connor kind of isn't that great.
Yeah.
So Snell should have produced more, and I don't know, like he should have done more to me. Whereas Mattison is getting less. Like how many? I don't have Snell's carries, but
220 versus 200.
I have Mattison had 96 carries last year.
Oh, I'm talking over 2 years over their careers.
So Mattison had a better year on 96 carries than Snell did.
Yeah,
on
absolutely.
200. So it's like
220 is 2 years for Snell too.
So even 220 and over 2 years is 110. So he still had less carries and did better.
Yep, absolutely.
So I don't know. I like Mattison as a whole, and I know you just said you did too. Just wait if he's a free agent, see where he goes. Maybe he'll go somewhere where he can start.
Heck yeah.
And then as a Dalvin Cook owner, if you don't have Mattison, go get Mattison. Just make it happen.
I think the Vikings famously don't really hold on to their secondary running backs, right? We're talking about like McKinnon and Latavius Murray and.
Well, yeah. I mean, they get their workhorse and fade out RB2, yeah. Famously, yeah.
Let's move on. Myles Gaskins, our first undrafted guy.
Yep.
He missed 6 games in 2020, but he still did pretty well. 584 yards, 3 touchdowns. Not bad. 31 missed tackles forced. He was on the offense for 69% of their total snaps. Finished 28th in PPR scoring leagues. My thing with him, he averaged 16.4 yards a game, and they didn't address the running back room. So obviously, I feel like he can see a similar production. I'm scared of that offense. It's an offense I'm not super stoked on. And their line was 30th ranked in run blocking, and they didn't do that much to kind of fix it, focusing on adding weapons instead. They did grab the tackle out of Notre Dame and Liam Etchenberg in the second round, who could help, but he's more of a pass blocker. So I don't know. And I think it's kind of telling that they were rumored to be in on Aaron Jones before he re-signed with the Packers, and then they were rumored to be taking a running back before all of them got taken out in front of them in the draft. And so I think they would have taken Javonte Williams had the Broncos not traded up in front of them to take him. So it's interesting. For this year, I think he is a starter. But I'm curious to see what Miami does about him after this.
Yeah. I mean, I have him as a starter as well. I don't trust the run game in Miami at all, not even a little bit. I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there that in 2019, Myles Gaskins' rookie year, you had Jordan Howard was in the house, but that team the rushing leader was Ryan Fitzpatrick with 243 yards and 4 touchdowns, which also led the team in rushing. Okay? So Gaskins gets 36 carries. You fast forward to 2020, Gaskins plays 10 games and ends up with 3 touchdowns and 584 yards. I'm sell Gaskin, sell him.
Yeah.
Please just sell him. I don't think that this offense cares about the running game. I think that they've demonstrated that they want to do things through the air and rely on a defense to keep the score low.
No, that's fair.
So that's where I'm at on him. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be wrong, so get your Gaskins in if you can. But
no, I mean, I get it. You have to commit to the run game at least a little bit, or your pass name's not going to work. And that's why I think for this year, he's fine as a starter.
Yeah.
But at that same token, I'm with you, sell him. Because they're going to bring somebody in. There were too many rumors about who they wanted to bring in outside of him for them to just ignore it next year.
yeah.
You know?
And who do they, I mean, I don't really know, but who do they have? Patrick Laird and, if you want to call Lynn
Malcolm
Bowden
Brown.
Jr.,
Lynn Bowden Jr., yeah.
Malcolm Brown,
Oh,
which I think
yeah.
Malcolm Brown's probably a good buy right now.
Yeah, that's fair.
So he's still got gas in the tank. We know that.
Yeah.
Hey.
All right, let's do it.
Tony Pollard, meh. He's effective. 2 years, 60 touches, 8 touchdowns.
I thought he was better than Zeke last year, and PFF agreed with me as far as how they ranked him. I guess is there a world where they're moving on from Zeke?
I don't think so.
Now with that contract.
Well, yeah, but like down the road.
What
So
road?
they want to get... Okay, well, fair enough. Fuck
I mean,
it.
he's under contract through 2025.
Yeah, but where's the money cut off?
Yeah, but
I don't know that.
I don't know. Zeke just was awful last year. He was terrible. Is he going to bounce back, or is he going to be the guy?
he's going to bounce back.
Why?
Ohio State.
Well, there you have it.
That's it. Join
Those are
us
your
next
third
week.
year guys. Next week for the second year guys.
Yeah, so that was third years, and we're kicking it. We're going in reverse second year, and it's all in the clear after that.
Well, we hope. Oh, there goes headphones. Yeah. Hey, Rough Draft Preachers, thank you guys so much. Thanks
out,
for
guys.
sticking around with us. Scary Terry. Thank you so much.
Peace out.
Just have given up a first in this year's Swift trip.